over here. Although it's chilly here. It's chilly, yeah.
Okay, David, you can start now.
Okay. Do you want to start with just a global chamber?
No. Yeah, why don't you go in?
Okay. Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome everybody. We are here for our virtual event of Mexico's Outlook 2018 for Guanajuato and Sonora. And we're going to start with gentleman out of the state of Sonora, Dr. Luis Núñez. Dr. Núñez is the Federal Delegate of Economy Secretariat in Sonora. Dr. Núñez is an economist who graduated from the University of Sonora, has a master's degree and a PhD in economy from the University of Arizona. And since here at the Global Chamber, we're not biased and not political, we also have later in the program a PhD from Arizona State University, just to level things out. He's a federal delegate of the Secretary of Economy in Sonora since 2013. He's been a researcher in the Center of Research in Food and Development, CIAD AC, for 22 years. Dr. Núñez was president of the School of Economics of Sonora from 2002 to 2010, and vice president of the National School of Economics from 2004 to 2006. He's been recognized for his support and trajectory by the Secretary of the Economy. Intellectual Property Institute, Institute of Civil Engineers, College in Sonora. He's also a member of the National Chamber of Commerce in Mexico, CANACO, University of Sonora Technological Institute, ISTESON, and College of Studies of Business and International Commerce, CENSI, and other institutions. So without further ado, Dr. Luis Núñez. I think he's mute.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Luis Núñez from Sonora. I'm representing Mr. Ildefonso Guajardo, the Secretary of Economy in Mexico, in the state of Sonora. So I'm going to talk a little about Sonora's economy. Sonora is the second largest state in Mexico. We share border with Arizona, USA. We share 6 entry gates, the most important being Nogales, Arizona, and the second most important is San Luis Rio, Colorado. The GDP in Sonora, gross domestic product, is about 5% per year. Sonora is the 5th place in Mexico in growing of the economy. The unemployment rate in Sonora is very low, it's 3.4%. We have important investment infrastructure. We have important airports, international airports such as in Hermosillo, Obregón, Guaymas. We have 1 maritime port in Guaymas for grains and minerals. Containers are shipped since 2015. Related to export, Sonora exports to 94 countries in the world. 90% of the exports are the US market. Other markets are Canada, Japan, and Europe. Exports account for more than $18 billion per year. Fruits and vegetables, such as table grapes, asparagus, melons, cucumbers, peppers, are very important for Sonoran exports. Sonora is the largest exporter of pork meat, focusing in Japan, Korea, and Europe. It's an important exporter of cattle to the United States. It's the largest exporter of gold, copper, graphite, molybdenum. It's the 3rd exporter of silver in Mexico. Sonora is also a very important producer of automobiles, auto parts, airplane engines, aerospace structures such as doors for airplanes, and electric components. It's the largest manufacturer of flat TVs in Mexico. Sonora is also known as the grain basket for Mexico because it's Mexico's largest producer of wheat, sorghum, chickpeas. Tourism accounts for an important number of employments. Being San Carlos, Rocky Points, and Quino Bay, the most beautiful places for many American and Canadians spend the winter attracted by the warmer temperatures of the seawater. This is Sonora in a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Núñez. And now joining us from Guanajuato, we have Dr. Manuel de Jesus Gomez Sandí. Manuel is originally from Tapachula, Chiapas, southern part of Mexico. He holds a degree in economics from the Autonomous University of Nuevo León, a master's and PhD in economics from Arizona State University. He has been a professor and researcher at the Department of Economics and Finance of the University of Guanajuato for 14 years. He's also professor of the subject of the Tecnológico de Monterrey for 7 years, from 2010 to date. Researcher of the Regional Studies Division of Banco de Mexico for 2 years, Fulbright visiting research at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. In 2013 and 2014, he was the Academic of the Year. Manuel is also a member of the National System of Researches, SNI, since 2006, and since 2016, CONACYT promoted him to level 3. So please welcome Dr. Manuel de Jesus Gomez Sandí.
Hi, thank you very much for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be here, to have the opportunity to talk to all the audience of Global Chamber. First, I was asked to talk about the business opportunities here in Guanajuato, but since I am a professor of economics, I would like to start talking about the effects that trade has on economies in general. No, this is true for Mexico, and this is true for every single economy that start trading. Since the beginning of NAFTA, Mexico started to transform its economy because it was a relatively closed economy. No? And when countries do not trade, countries have to produce all the products that they want to consume. But when they start trading, they no longer have to produce everything. So economies, when they start trading, they tend to concentrate on certain products. And the products that they concentrate on are those products where they have comparative advantage. And comparative advantage may come from different ways. No? In the case of Mexico, maybe it's because labor is cheap. No? But there are different theories about this comparative advantage. Like I said, Mexico has been specializing in the production of certain goods, and so the transformation has not been homogeneous in all Mexico. The growth has concentrated on some states that belong to some specific regions. On the one side, the states that have benefited the most from trade in terms of growth are those that belong to the north border region, from west to east: Baja California, Sonora, Chihuahua, Coahuila, Nuevo León, and Tamaulipas. Then the states that belong to the north central region, mainly Aguascalientes, Guanajuato, Querétaro, and San Luis Potosí. In general, free trade benefits those states that are endowed with or are able to attract human capital, physical capital, communication and transportation infrastructure, and foreign direct investment. This is those that have the greater capacities to produce more sophisticated goods with more added value. On the other side, it is clear that within the manufacturing sector, The subsector that has experienced the greatest rate of growth is transportation equipment manufacturing. In 1994, this subsector represented 10% of the manufacturing production in the country, and by 2017, it represented the 22%. Specifically, two industry groups within this subsector has benefited most: motor vehicle manufacturing and motor vehicle parts manufacturing. Actually, right now, Mexico is the 12th largest exporter in the world, and 85% of its exports go to the United States. Trade with United States and Canada has tripled since the implementation of NAFTA, and more than 90% of Mexico's trade is under 12 free trade agreements with other 40 countries. Well, vehicles represent 20% of total exports, and electrical machinery represents almost 20%, and computers are almost 15%. Now, with less than 5% is oil, optical and medical apparatus, plastic, vegetable, fruits also are important an important part of Mexican exports. Foreign trade is a large percentage of Mexican economy, and this is Mexico is one of the Mexico's number one export is manufactured products. Mexico has become one of the world's leading producers and exporters of motor vehicles, although it has no automakers of its own. And during more than 2 decades under NAFTA, Mexico's light vehicle production tripled from 1.1 million in 1994 to nearly 3.5 million units in 2017. Moreover, Mexico light vehicles exports increased from 500,000 to almost 3 million units during the same period. And by 2017, motor vehicle assembly and parts plants employ more than 750,000 workers in Mexico. And Guanajuato is a state that is less than 200 miles away from Mexico City to the northwest. And this is also a state, a winner state during NAFTA, mainly because of the automotive industry has taken a lot of strength due to the arrival of major companies of that class in Guanajuato. Guanajuato is currently the fastest growing state for manufacturing in Mexico. The automotive industry in Guanajuato has been driven by Japanese firms. Over the past 7 years, large assemblers such as Honda and Mazda and a score of suppliers that will service them have injected a lot of money into the state's passenger vehicle industry. These companies are located in 18 municipalities of the state. The automotive industry has presence in 40% of the municipalities of the state. Also, Guanajuato received more than $1,000 million in foreign direct investment in 2017, which represent almost 5% of all the foreign direct investment that Mexico received. And of all the foreign direct investment received by the state, almost all was toward manufacturing industry. Possibly the largest challenge foreign direct companies will face when manufacturing in Guanajuato will be finding qualified personnel at all operational levels. The state and the city governments throughout Guanajuato are responding to anticipating growth by spending mainly on infrastructure and education. I consider that in the future, the state of Guanajuato will continue specializing in automotive and auto parts sector. also the metal mechanic industry and the agricultural manufacturing industry. So there is this sector where the best opportunities are going to be in this state. Despite of the main advantage, manufacturing in Mexico still comes with its challenge. Fortunately, any difficulties that may arise can be overcome. First, crime. As a rapid developing country, crime is one of the main security issues for manufacturers in Mexico. Mexico must build an effective police and justice system as well as implement comprehensive social programs if it is to escape the extraordinary violence by the countries that started crime. And second, education and human capital formation. The growth potential of Mexico is not fast enough to narrow the income gap with developed countries at a sufficient pace. The persistent weakness in human capital development contributes to this situation. And well, finally, I think that the protectionist approach of Trump administration, threatening to change the conditions on trade and immigration policies, has increased political tension between the two countries and is hurting Mexico in different ways. For example, the value of peso or the inflow of foreign direct investment. But I believe that trade between these two countries is a natural thing, a thing that benefits both, and therefore I think that it will continue to grow in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gomez Saldi. And now we go back to Sonora, where we have Ingeniero Guillermo Gaxiola Astiazaran. Guillermo is an industrial engineer and has a master's degree in business administration from Tec de Monterrey. He also attended IPADE, where he got a diploma in management. He is the academic director of Universidad Estatal de Sonora, or Sonora State University. He's worked at corporations related to food processing as the CEO, and now is working in family corporations, providing a variety of services and plays a role as stockholder and counselor. He's also a professor at higher education institutions specialized in subjects as strategic management. In the last 5 years, Guillermo has worked as a coach on several courses with small business owners and their staff, mainly in leadership, problem solving, and teamwork. Some of Guillermo's areas of specialty include strategic planning, management, and funding of small family businesses. Please welcome Ingeniero Guillermo Gaxiola Astiazaran.
Okay. Good morning, all of you. I'm going to share with you some information about what happened in Northwest Mexico, and my friend Sergio Garrido is going to talk about what's happening in Northeast of Mexico. All right, the main objective of this presentation is to share information about the economic performance and what are the expectations of some corporations leaders for 2018 at the state of Sonora. As I told you, we are located at northwest of Mexico, and which strategies are recommended for corporations involved in production and distribution of goods and services in the border with USA. I am going to put a little more emphasis on what Dr. Luis Núñez already said. Sonora has key sectors as mining, and Sonora is leading the production of copper, gold, and molybdenum and other metals in the country. Also, in the agribusiness field, Sonora is leading the production in the country of high-quality beef and pork. These meats are exported to mainly to Asia and other countries in the Far East. Also, is leader in table grapes, asparagus, and other vegetables. And as Dr. Núñez said, Sonora is called the bread basket for Mexico, because a huge production of cereals as well. Some of the industries are growing very, very fast, as outsourcing and assembly of automobiles, aerospace parts, and high-tech devices for the health industry. And seafood, as shrimp, is right now one of the leading products that Sonora is exporting all over the world. The tourism at the Sea of Cortez is another important source of income to Sonora. Let me tell you about the supply chain in Sonora. Sonora is well supported with the education, with 20 public and 50 private colleges and high schools with quality certified programs. Also, research centers focus in innovation, applied research and development at the CIAT, that is a research center for all about food production and food processing. Sonora has a unique resource for solar energy, and right now there are a lot of investment in this field, and also in support industries for the auto and aerospace industry, as CNC production, nanotech, computer science, and other related high-tech fields. Training, more than 200,000 students are attending right now to high school and college, and 1/3 of them are involved in technical and engineering careers. Support the government has programs to support the soft landing of companies that find these regions resources very relevant and important to gain competitive advantage all over the world. As you can see, tax reductions, certification in specialized fields, consulting by local and international specialists, engineering and technology advice, and quality certification process, as well as some times to build the industrial buildings and the land in order to soft land in this region and be competitive in this that we call the mega region, as you saw in the in our answer to one of the questions, that the mega region of Sonora and Arizona are especially supported by the government. Okay, and just to emphasize that global chamber services right now are very well and very useful for companies that right now are working here in our region, and they are developing a network with other international companies in order to supply or to sell product and service to companies all over the world. Conclusions, as some of the questions that we read with participants in this web seminar, we think that 2018 It's a complex since the point of view of economic, social, and political environment that, as you know, we are going to have a federal elections in the 1st of July. So since the political point of view is a complex scenario, but from a technical and fundamental analysis based on human resources, material, natural resources, the expectation is easier to understand because there are a lot of strengths and a lot of opportunities. The conclusion is that most of the leaders in our regions have confidence in invest and grow, and as the statistics show in terms of construction, new openings of small, medium-sized, and big corporations, we think that this year is going to be very good, and we are going to grow as we have been growing in the last 2 years. So once the election is passed by, we are going to continue the growing in this region or this mega region. Thank you very much, and I'm going to ask Mr. Sergio Garrido to explain what is the point of view of the northeast of Mexico expectations.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for the invitation, Christian, to attend this session. And hello, everybody. How are you today? Well, I want to share with you some of point of view from my perspective as a business consulting. And we are right now working in the north part of Mexico, Sonora, Chihuahua, Nuevo León, and sometimes in the south of Mexico also. So in my opinion, in this moment, what the companies are facing as a challenge today is the same thing what the leaders from other companies in other countries are facing too. But particularly for Mexico, maybe the most important issues right now are we had to take care about our kind of responses for technology right now. We need to be very, very careful in technology because technology is for everyone, and everywhere, and everything. Another thing is organizations have to move faster. We have to improve the performance in the companies to move as fast as possible. Other very important thing here is innovation, disruption, and adaptation. We have to be very, very quickly in our responses to deal with the innovations from other countries, from other companies in the world. Another thing very important, in my opinion, also is the salaries. We have to be very careful with our business plan in salaries because people from Mexico has to deal with people from other countries with very best salaries that we have right now. The perceptions of the leaders, in my opinion, with people we are talking right now daily in business is they are looking for people like a class talent. We need to adapt our systems of education to build the best high-class talent possible. Other perception of the leaders is right now we are facing daily, monthly, exponential changes. So our kind of responses has to be very, very at the state of the art in our proposals in management. Other very important thing is we have to access capital in the world. We are looking for capital every day, because our entrepreneurs need more money at the best prices. So in conclusion, one of the strategies we are dealing with is the companies in Mexico need to be very open to make strategic alliances with another complementary companies. We have to be open, analyzing where other companies different than our companies, how to create as you are doing right now, this kind of sessions, the opportunity to open another things, another points of view, and another ideas in our companies. We had to move, as I mentioned before, closer, faster, and another very important thing is at the lower cost possible. And at the end of my opinion is we had to create a very good teams with distributors, with customers in our own markets, with another companies that they are dealing with the best actions that we are doing right now. So this is a time for create ecosystems in the world for companies. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm here if you have some questions.
Thank you very much. We have one more speaker.
Vamos a aprovechar para contestar las preguntas entonces.
¿Ya cerraste aquí?
Sí, ya cerramos.
So we've been getting some questions throughout the different presentations. So I'll be reading some of the questions that we have from the audience. And the first one, and I'll just open it up to whoever wants to answer. Would you please address the mega region? I think this is referring mostly to the Arizona and Sonora region. So our speakers from Sonora. Please address the mega region concept and the implications on world trade. What industries did most perfectly align with that model?
Listo, Guillermo. ¿Puedes con esa?
Aquí le contestamos.
Sí, listo.
Por escrito. No. Ok. Sí. Okay. I'm going to try to explain. Well, we think that that mega region, which is Sonora, and Arizona, has a lot of competitive advantages. In both states, there are 6 international border ports of entry to the mega region. There is an energy infrastructure that is connected in both states. There are a global market of about 68 million people within a one-day drive of the mega region by airport, by railroad, by bus, by car. So it's very, very interesting that access to the world markets. There are skilled available workforce, young and talented, with an average age of 32 years. We have a network in the academic side with Arizona State University that is ranked #1 in the US for innovation. And we have Sonora University that is ranked #1 in the Northwest region of Mexico for technological and research and development. There are universities and colleges with 219 technical schools in both states. There is a region with a low cost of doing business. So all these advantages are well aligned with aerospace, auto industry, mining, and all agribusiness and the products that are related with this sector. So these four are the main fields or sectors that we think are global competitive. Aerospace, auto industry, mining, and agribusiness.
Thank you very much. We have another question from our listeners. I'll address this question for Dr. Gomez-Ali. And Doctor, can you address what are some of the best opportunities for US companies in Mexico and some great opportunities for Mexican companies in the US?
Well, I think that in the future, the automotive industry is going to be the best option for to invest in Mexico, because Mexico has been specializing in this sector, and I think it will continue. Right now, there are some issues with foreign direct investments. The investors are a little bit nervous because of the trading policies of the United States. But I think that in the future, this industry is going to continue to grow in Mexico, because Mexico has some advantage in this sector. Mexico is becoming a manufacturing country, and the U.S. is moving towards the sector service. So the sector service is more important for the United States. And manufacturing is more important for Mexico, I think, and this will continue in the future. And in Mexico, also other important sectors will be, I think, computers and electrical equipment, computers, and and medical. I think medical products will become also important in the Mexican economy in the future. And as the opportunities in the United States, I think I don't know much about that. I would like to say something about that. I would prefer to keep with the Mexican opportunities.
Thank you very much. Maybe that's a lesson we can teach our politicians. So I'll open this question for anybody in the panel that wants to answer. And basically, there's two situations going on in 2018 that will really affect trade. One is the national elections in Mexico, and the other one is the NAFTA renegotiation. So if anybody wants to address how those two will impact the trade relationship between Mexico and the rest of the world, that would be fantastic.
I can start with that. As I said before, I think that trade, like the exchange of merchandise, is not affected, because contracts had been signed before, so the exchange of merchandise is not going to be affected. But there are other things that are being affected, like as I said, the value of the peso is being affected. So maybe it's going to be more expensive for Mexican firms to buy inputs from foreign countries. And also another important thing in the medium room is the foreign direct investment. Some foreign investors are they will prefer to wait to see what happened with the Mexican election. Not only what happened with the Mexican election, but what happened after the Mexican election, what is going to be the political situation. So I think the foreign direct investment is an important part of that, and also the value of the peso.
Thank you. Can somebody talk about the implications of Japan's foreign direct investment in the auto industry in Mexico, in the US, Europe, and is China investing or planning to invest in any of these industries in Mexico?
Well, I can say something about that. I think, well, the Japanese economy is especially important for Guanajuato. No, as I mentioned, the auto industry in our state, has been driven by the automotive investment here, mainly Honda and Mazda. They are investing a lot of money here, and well, it seems that it's gonna continue in the near future. Here in Guanajuato, now we can see a lot of Japanese people just working here. In fact, Japan has opened a consulate in one of the cities of Guanajuato because of the importance of the Japanese population here. So, well, I think that trade with Japan is not as important, but is investment here is very important for us.
Thank you. And a question for Dr. Gaxiola Astiazaran. As you know, there's big investment, big Canadian investment in Arizona and in the mega region. A lot of Canadian companies own mines in Sonora as well. Do you think that the Canadian impact will be more with or without NAFTA being approved?
Well, in that sector, the mining, we have seen that is not as important the NAFTA trade agreement as it is the fiscal treatment that is right now to the mining companies. We think that is more important what is happening in the tax that right now is applied to the production of minerals and metals is more important what is going to happen in that tax reduction that is right now being negotiated by the actors in that field than the NAFTA trade agreement. That's what is right now the issue more important. What is going to happen with the tax reduction in Mexico to the production of metals and minerals than what's happening in the NAFTA.
Thank you. And obviously, NAFTA is the talk of the day. Negotiations are going on, started today in Mexico City again. But aside from NAFTA, what are the markets in Latin America that Mexican companies are looking to export?
I would say that a market that is very important for Mexico is South America, and that is because of its size. South America has Brazil, Argentina, and are the most important markets for Mexico. And there have been a lot of work in that, to increase trade with these countries. But well, I think it's not has been as successful as it should be. And well, other important markets are all the countries in Central America, but the size of these countries and the purchasing power parity of these countries, well, doesn't allow the trade to grow and be as important as we all would like to to be. So, I think in other Latin American countries, the most important markets are Brazil and Argentina.
Thank you very much. And we have another question, this one in regards to capital flows between Mexico and the US. And what are the requirements for Mexican companies when extending payment terms to foreign buyers, especially in US markets?
Yes, I would like to add something about our main products that we think we are going to substitute some what we are right now exporting to USA. Right now, the local production is going with more value added, and in this case, it can reach far markets as Europe or Far East or Asia. So right now, in diversifying the markets other than US, adding value to the products. And the other thing about the payments, we think that there are, the banking system in Mexico is well related with the global banking institutions. So with good mechanisms to payments, we think that we are going to have the financial and the funding that is needed in order to reach other markets, and the payments are going to be supported by the banking financial institutions.
Thank you very much. On that end, I also would like to comment, there's two fantastic Global Chamber members. When it comes to extending credit for international companies, there's one of our members, Credit Safe, that runs credit history for any company around the world, for those of our members that are interested in that. And we have another member company, Tempus, which is focused on exchange rates and mitigating the risk of dealing with different currencies. So if somebody's interested on that, we have some great resources within the membership of Global Chamber. Any comments in regards to trade with China? Obviously, it's a gigantic economy that needs a lot of different products. Is Mexico currently doing something or looking into doing something with trade with China?
Well, I would like, I don't know too much about that, about China. Of course, for Mexico, we usually see the Chinese economy as a competitor for Mexico, because they export a lot of things to the United States. In fact, like 20 years ago, when 2001, when China entered the World Trade Organization, Mexico was really impacted by that event, because exports to the United States, they did not decline, but they did not grew as fast as they were growing before China entered the WTO. And well, of course, China is a great market, and but still, the Mexican exports to China are not as important. And I think Mexico is totally concentrated with the United States, and maybe we have to focus more on the Chinese market, because it represents a lot of opportunities. But as far as I know, I think there is no special plan to do that.
Thank you. We have another question from our listeners, and they're basically wanting to know what is the business environment in Mexico? What is it like today? How is it changing, mostly in the issues that pertain into corruption, women in management, financial transparency? How is that business environment changing in Mexico?
Well, I would say that the government is taking some actions to improve that environment because it's really important. But I think that we have seen very few advance in this area. As I'd say in my presentation, crime is one of the main issues right now because all the firms that are thinking about expanding in Mexico, well, they see they see that it is a really big problem here, and it seems that well, it's going to be worse in the near future. So the government is trying to work on that area, but I don't see as many results as I would like to see.
Thank you. Anybody in our panel would like to address the question about how blockchain technology is being adopted in Mexico, whether it's in companies or universities?
Yes, hello, good morning, David. If possible, I would like to answer some of the questions, send them to Cesar, and I would like to go through all of the questions once again and send a document to Cesar so it could be sent to all the people having those questions, especially. This is a very specific question about blockchain technology. Yes, it's making a lot of noise in the country, and definitely it's being used by people. People are investing in blockchains, but on the subject of companies being involved with blockchain, that's a different matter. It has not been heard that much, but we will get into that research and send the information to all of you.
Thank you. So we'll compile a list of questions and send it out, and then we'll be posted on the blog for the event of today. Any comments on how business education in Mexico is changing from an academic perspective? How are business people being taught and educated in Mexico?
Yes, if I may help with that question. There have been many changes going on in Mexico for the past years. There has been the adoption of technological universities, which have expanded all through Mexico, having nowadays close to 150 to 200 technological universities in the most important cities of Mexico, and each and one of them is preparing their students to the requirements of the industry located in their each region. For example, in Sonora, now that the aerospace technology and industry has been growing, obviously we are bringing in programs related to aerospace. That is also going very strongly in Querétaro. They have a very important university, most important in Mexico, related to aerospace. And also, obviously, in Guanajuato, this is happening where they are preparing their students in subjects related to the companies that are in charge of manufacturing vehicles.
Thank you. And does anybody know how franchises are faring in Mexico? Is it a growth industry, franchises from other countries in Mexico, or franchises being born in Mexico and those concepts being exported out of Mexico?
Yes, if I may help on that subject, we've been involved personally in the matter of franchises, and international franchises are very popular in Mexico. They have been accepted for the past close to 25 years. That's where the franchise boom started in Mexico, close to 1993, 1994. And there are so many franchises in Mexico. They're doing very nicely, and each and every day new international franchises are coming by. Also, Mexico is very creative of its own concepts of franchises, and many of the franchises that are created in Mexico are being acquired or adopted by Latin American markets. Also, the South American market is very keen of getting a close relationship with Mexico and adopting some of the franchise concepts, and vice versa, of course. Mexico also adopts some concepts from Latin America, but of course the most popular concepts from franchises are coming from the US. We obviously know that we have some franchises like McDonald's, Burger King, coming. Right now, the growth of Starbucks is pretty impressive here in Mexico. That's also related to food, but in many other types of companies. And there's going to be a very important event going to be held in Mexico City from March the 1st to March the 3rd. It's going to be the International Franchise Expo. It's one of the biggest franchise expos in the world, but this one is very focused to Mexico and all of the region of Latin America.
Thank you very much. And we have one last question. In what other states in the U.S. Are leading trade with Mexico, and what other countries are some of the top trading partners with Mexico?
I will say that the most important U.S. states that trade with Mexico are those states that are on the border. Trade has increased with California, Arizona, Texas, and also these states trades a great deal with the states that belong to Mexico that are also on the border. And I think the trade concentrates on both sides of the border. And also, in terms of other countries, I think, Mexico trades mainly with the US and Canada. Trade is almost 85%. And with European countries, I think the most important are Spain and Germany. And as I said, Mexico also trades with Latin American countries, but trade is not as important as we would like it to be. It's mainly concentrated to the United States, and I think it will continue to be concentrated with them, with the US.
Thank you very much. So that's it for our questions. We thank our panelists from Guanajuato and from Sonora, everybody that tuned in from anywhere around the world. And we'll have a recap of the event posted online, so people can listen to it as well. And thank you for the ones that were physically present with us here in Arizona as well. So have a great rest of the day, and we'll be seeing you at the next Global Chapter Chamber event.
Perfect. Nice job.